Good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to film a video today about my personal struggles with disabilities. I've had a few people ask me what type of disability I suffer with. So, to be fair, how can I talk about riding with disabilities if I don't share what type of disability that I suffer with? So I'll kind of start at the beginning. First of all, I've sprained my ankles so many times in my life, as a child and in my career, that I've lost count. But unfortunately, my feet and ankles have not lost count. I worked most of my adult life in law enforcement. I'm not going to go into the details of what I did in that job, but I did a lot. I worked a lot of hours. I was out all hours of the day and night. I worked shift work. When I worked in investigations, I worked all the time. I was not one that really took care of myself like a lot of people in their 20s and 30s and 40s. And acid reflux ate my esophagus up. So I went in for some tests, and while I was having those tests, they sedated me, and I aspirated into my left lung and almost died. But the Lord saw fit to keep me here, because at that time in my life, I didn't deserve the grace I was shown. But be that as it may, I did survive through that. I had to have major surgery to go in and fix the esophageal problems. I had to take 2 years to recover from the lung injury. I know that seemed like a long time. I thought so at the time too. I still have problems because of it. But what ended up getting me the most was the joint issues. I've sprained my ankles so many times, I've lost count. And in doing that, I accumulated arthritis in my ankles, spurs. Your tendons and ligaments won't stretch like they used to when you were young. And if I tear them again, I'm probably going to have my foot fused, or both of them for that matter. So I've also had both elbows operated on because of arthritis from doing an end over end on a mountain bike when I was in my early 30s, riding mountain bikes. I've always been a bicyclist. And I've had tenodesis in both arms in here to reroute my bicep tendons because I tore both of them lifting. And I'm still having problems. This shoulder's going to have to probably be operated on again, which is my right shoulder. The hiatal hernia that they fixed when they fixed my esophagus has come back. I'm going to have that fixed as well. That's just a few things that I suffer with. I blew my hearing out with firearms over the years, so unfortunately I have to wear hearing aids. I don't need them for every day. Yeah, I do, according to my wife. But they do help a lot. And of course I wear corrective lenses, but that's been a lifelong thing for me. My doctor encouraged me 2 years ago, it's been almost 2.5 years ago now, to get out and start bicycling again, because it's good for the joints, it's good for the cardiovascular system, which I have high blood pressure. I've had that since I was 33 years old. It's good for that. It'll help you keep your weight down, which I'm a work in progress. But that's why I bicycle. That's what I suffer with. In order to function every day, I have to wear these braces, which are a shoe basically inside of a shoe. And they're hard to get out. They're custom made. That's what they look like. That's what keeps my ankles and my feet from being able to bend from side to side, because that's the worst possible thing for me, is for them to bend side to side, because I could run the risk of tearing something. I've fallen downstairs, I've been in automobile accidents, I've wrestled with people, I've sprained my ankles in training, you name it, I've done it. And every time you do, they weaken a little bit more and a little bit more, until eventually you're in trouble. I have had some problems with my knees, but not a great deal. But if I'm out on my place, I walk with one of these. Even if I have the ankle braces on, I'll use this because I don't need to slip. Our property here is up and down hills, even though we live along the coastal plain. We're in the coastal plain of Virginia, which is fairly flat. I still need these because it gets slick and muddy. If I'm not wearing the braces for everyday life, I need to use a cane. This is one of about a half a dozen I've got here. But that's what I suffer with on a day-to-day basis. It's painful. At one point in my life, probably about 10 years ago, the doctor had me on, one of my doctors had me on 100 milligrams of tramadol every 6 hours. That is absolutely, positively miserable. It's not something that anybody would want to take, I wouldn't think. I know there are people that abuse it, but that stuff is terrible. It screws up your GI tract. It makes you feel awful. So he took me off of it. If I need painkiller, which wearing these braces, it's not as bad as it could be. I'll just take regular Tylenol. I've taken so much ibuprofen that I cannot take it anymore. I'm not going to go into the details why that is, but the doctor will not allow me to take any type of ibuprofen or anything that contains ibuprofen for health reasons. Even though with these problems, he still wants me to get out and exercise. That's why I ride this thing all the time. I have logged this summer alone over 500 miles. Believe me, that's a lot of riding, and that's a lot of hours, and that's a lot of breaks. When I went over and did the Greenbrier River Trail, for instance, you see a video. It takes me hours to do that because I stop and break. And that's one of the things I recommend to people when they ride. The doctor told me to get out and ride, and he gave me parameters that I have to stay within. You need to talk to your doctor as well. Find out if you can do this type of activity. Find out what the parameters are. You have to eat before you're hungry. You have to drink before you're thirsty. But you can do these things if the doctor will allow it. You just have to take your time. And when I bike, I may ride 3 or 4 miles and take a break. I may not ride that far before I take a break. I may just take a trip during the day that only takes in 10 miles. And it'll take me all day to do it. Sometimes 15, sometimes 20. It depends upon how I feel. And yes, cold weather affects arthritis and joint issues. It definitely does. The pressure outside, the dampness, all of that plays a part in how you feel. So talk with your doctor. Get out there and ride if you can. If you have to buy an e-bike, buy an e-bike. At least you're getting out and enjoying the outside, getting some fresh air, working your legs and your joints, your lungs and your heart, and everything else. You're working it. Not to mention what it's doing for your mind. It makes you feel better mentally. I get out there and I ride. I'm pretty much a solo cyclist because I'm slow. And I like being that way. I'm 60 years old. I like taking my time. I get out there and ride. I pray. I reflect. I thank God for what I've got. I think about everything. I think about this old house that we live in that was standing here during the Civil War. Be thankful for what you have. Get out there and enjoy yourself. Check with your doctor. But I just want to give a little bit of information to you all about the disabilities that I suffer with. And yes, I've even had to use a CPAP machine. I have one now. I'm getting to a weight where I may be able to come off of it completely. There are ways to deal with that too, but I'm at a point where I don't need it all the time. And they put me on that when I injured my lungs. I had to go through a lot of tests after that. So they decided it would be a good idea to put me on one. My advice with that is if you can avoid it, do so. But that's still another disability, another thing that you have to deal with. As we get older, it's harder to lose weight. It's harder to stay active. A bicycle will help you do that. If you can, get out there and ride. I hope this helps somebody. That's the whole reason I started this YouTube channel, is to encourage other people that have been down and out and depressed because they couldn't do what they used to do, to get out there and start enjoying life. Riding is a thing for me. I have always loved it, and believe me, I love it even more now, because for a long time I couldn't ride. At least I didn't think I could. And when the doctor gave me the opportunity to start riding again, I jumped at it. I would encourage you to get out there and do it if you can. Whatever it takes. Maybe you can't ride a bike. Maybe you can walk. Maybe you can't. I don't know. But find something to get outside and get some fresh air and a little bit of activity under your belt. You'll feel a whole lot better for it. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and I hope this helps and inspires someone. Y'all have a good evening.